Well, joining me now with more on the situation in Syria and the chemical weapons agreement is Kyle Olson, an expert in weapons of mass destruction and the former vice president of the Chemical and Biological Arms Control Institute. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
So how challenging is this going to be for the UN weapons inspectors? I mean, is it realistic to believe that they're going to bring all these weapons, identify them, put them under international control in under a year?
Well, there is obviously going to be an almost innumerable number of challenges to get over. One, we're not sure how many places those weapons have actually been dispersed to. We know that we've heard anyway that the Syrians seem to have been relocating them from their main storage depots to other facilities. They're going to have to track those down. So they're going to have to match that up with the declarations that the Syrians are supposed to provide. Now I understand within a week, which is going to be a challenge. And once they've done that, they're still going to have to match those numbers up with the declarations. Then they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do. Are they going to relocate them? Are they going to try to destroy them where they are? Are they going to try and put them in a single location? It's a very complicated problem.
That's right. Over the past week, we've seen that one of the main points of contention during these negotiations was to establish exactly how big was the chemical weapons stockpile in Syria. I think they've agreed now that it's 1,000 tons of chemical weapons that the Syrians have.
That seems to be the number that the Russians and the United States have agreed to, as from their respective intelligence agencies, which makes it the largest operational chemical stockpile in the world. The U.S. and Russian stockpiles are both on the way to being destroyed, so they're not really factors anymore.
Right, and just to get some clarity on this, what this agreement calls for right now is not the destruction of all those chemical weapons by next year. It is simply to identify them, find their locations and put them under international control.
International control. Destruction is a very complicated problem. It can take, well, it's taken the United States. We are now in about the 15th year of a 10-year program to destroy our stockpile. The Russians are also falling behind because there are a great deal of large number of technical problems, technical challenges, safety problems, environmental problems, and even political problems associated with destroying chemical weapons.
And the added problem you have here, as I pointed out in my report just a moment ago, is the fact that you're not in the best of situations. You've got a civil war going on around you.
Well, the United States is having trouble destroying chemical weapons in Kentucky. So the idea of doing it in a hot zone with the military and a rebel element that absolutely positively would love to get their hands on those weapons, that's going to complicate things. You're putting inspectors in the position of being almost sitting ducks.
Right, and that must be a complex process, the actual process of destroying them, because they leave hazardous waste.
Of course.
That has to be stored, that has to be got rid of as well.
Well, there are two methods that have largely been used. Both a chemical neutralization process, which does result in large volumes of waste material that needs to be dealt with. It's still toxic, it's still poisonous. And then there's also burning or incineration, in which you take the weapons, you have to disassemble them, put them in take the explosive elements out, put them in an incinerator of thousands of degrees, and then still you have issues about the possible pollution. Very complicated, very technically difficult, and again, the kind of thing that you have to do in a very deliberate manner. These are, after all, weapons. They do have explosive components.
Right. The ball now appears to be in Syria's court. Syria has to show that it's willing to cooperate with the rest of the world, with the United Nations, give up all its weapons, see them destroyed, etc. What should be the first test of this credibility that we should be looking for?
Well, the first test, the first hurdle is going to be the declarations. Essentially, they're going to turn over an inventory that says these are the kinds of weapons we have, and this is where they are. That information is supposed to be turned over within a week. The Syrians had initially said it would take them 30 days or more. The United States said no. Russia agreed. So that's the first hurdle. That should happen literally a week from today. If they haven't met that first test, then you're going to have to throw everything else into question.
Right. One final question. This is, we just have a few seconds left. Syria has now acceded formally to the Chemical Weapons Convention, effective today, actually, Saturday. What does that mean?
Well, the Chemical Weapons Convention says you cannot manufacture, possess, nor use chemical weapons. What that does is it says that they've got reporting obligations. It means that they have essentially embraced international norms. And of course, it also says, yes, we have chemical weapons.
Okay. Kyle Olson, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you.